Hey, small business owners, welcome to our video podcast where we talk about search engine optimization and generative engine optimization. It is October, which is Halloween month, and so we're doing some scary SEO things this month. And today we're talking about scary SEO stories in small business. So, people who have had a big SEO problem or a scary SEO problem, and what happened and how we helped.
Awesome. Well, for all of you, he's Pete Klingen. I'm Sarai Gracia. We are part of Tiger 29. And yeah, so if you don't know us or you don't follow Pete yet, please go and click in the subscribe button or follow him in all the channels. We post every single day, different kind of educational posts, tips, advices, tricks, things that you have to avoid, and more. So to start this video, Pete, and I want to give them a lot of horror stories related to SEO for the small business. So hopefully they can avoid these situations. Do you have any scary story related to reviews that you or any of your clients experienced before?
So there's a lot of scary stories out there about reviews and how they impact businesses and especially small businesses. One of them that comes to mind is we had a client who got a poor review from a customer, a 1-star review with some bad comments in it. She was upset about it, like we all would be if we got a poor review, and wrote a bad response back, where basically she argued with the customer and made the customer feel like a bad person. Well, the story gets much worse than that, because what started out causing some anxiety and frustration for this business owner turned into a big problem when that customer went to a Facebook group and mentioned their experience and said, hey, everybody, let's all go leave that business a 1-star review. And so what started out as one 1-star review turned into 20, 30, 40 1-star reviews. Now that business owner had a big problem, and instead of being frustrated, she's having a hard time making ends meet because people aren't calling anymore.
Oh, I can imagine that bad situation, especially because people probably can think that they can handle one worse review or one bad hate outside, but having a bunch, I can imagine that. But continuously with reviews, have you ever noticed another like bad review or something like any experience that is something really weird to see?
So another one that comes to mind maybe would be a review blackmail situation, for lack of a better word, where I had a friend call me one day and he said, hey, we've got these 3 1-star reviews that came in overnight. We have no idea where they came from. He's feeling anxious about, like, hey, other customers are going to see these reviews and they're not legitimate. Well, later on that day, he called me back and said, hey, I just got an email from someone that said, I'm leaving you bad reviews. One of your competitors is paying me. If you pay me more, I'll stop. And so that was a really tough situation. I told him just ignore that second email, send it on to Google support, and get those reviews taken down. That's what he did, and he moved on with his business. Everything's fine today.
Well, I'm so glad and happy for that guy that he can solve everything. I can imagine that someone just sent me a message like that one day. Like, I think that it would be really scary, and especially because probably people in those bad situations can feel panic and just start to trying to take action before think first what is the correct way to do the things. So I'm happy that you can help him to solve everything. But jump a little bit to another topic that we should sometimes talk. It's related to locations, Google Maps, and this kind of stuff. Have you ever had any like horror stories similar to those ones that you just told me, but related to locations?
So this isn't really a horror story, but it's majorly inconvenient for the business owner and for their customers. And so what this business owner called up and said basically, hey, I keep having customers call me and say, I'm here for my appointment, but I don't see your store. I don't see your door. Where do I go in? And what was happening is they were actually 2 blocks away from where this business was located. And the business owner had no idea. They just thought that somehow people were coming to the wrong location. When we got on an SEO Power Hour and looked at it, we identified the problem. And she was actually able to move her map pin to the proper location so that now customers come to the right location. She's not feeling anxious about it. Customers aren't frustrated because they're missing their appointments. Everything ran smoothly, and it was just as simple as moving that map pin. So that scary story turned into a fairy tale, let's say.
Oh, that's really awesome. Like, I can understand probably their clients because it's really stressful that you're running in your time and you're trying to get the appointment on time and all of that and just arrive in a storage or another business place. I know, and thanks God that you can help them.
Well, and the scary part of that story is almost anyone can go into Google Maps and suggest an edit. And so the reason her map pin was in the wrong place might have been a competitor trying to do harm to her business.
Okay, Pete. And now you can tell me like another story related to locations and all of that, because it's a lot, like it's a lot of probabilities that you can arrive to the wrong location because the pin is wrong or something like that. But it's another like frustrating situation or like a nightmare that happened to you, especially when you have more locations.
So one of them, that a scary story that comes to mind related to multiple locations is we had a client that came to us basically because they had 3 locations in the same city. Their business was doing well; they were happy. The problem that they had, it was an SEO problem that was causing an operational problem. And so what happened is not all 3 locations were showing up when you search for this business by name. And so customers were going to the wrong location where they didn't have an appointment and having to drive all the way across town to their right location. And so it was causing frustration with their staff, it was causing frustration with their customers, and it was causing frustration for the business owners because they knew that they weren't having a good customer experience, which was eventually going to show up in the bottom line. So basically, what we've done for them is we build their authority, relevance, and trust online so that Google and ChatGPT are now receiving the right signals. Now all 3 locations are showing up more consistently. Fewer customers are going to the wrong location, and they're on track for much better success in that regard.
That's really awesome because I can like imagine the situation that you just arrived to one location that looks exactly as the same place that you book your appointment or something, and then they can tell, oh no, this is not your place. The correct place that you have your appointment is like 3 streets far of here, and you're like in running with the time. Like I can tell that it's very stressful, but I just want to have one more feed, and I just want to jump to another part or another topic, and it's related to the website designing and this kind of stuff. Have you ever experienced something weird happening in this topic?
So a lot of business owners sometimes get frustrated or they become disenfranchised with their website. They think that their website is old, outdated, whatever, and their dream is to have a new website. So they engage with an agency. Their agency builds out their website. That's great. The expectation a lot of times is that search engine optimization and that visibility on Google and ChatGPT are going to continue even though you built a new website. We had a client once down south where they basically, and it was multi-location, a pretty significant sized business, and they were able to save like $2,000 a month off their bill by going to a different website provider. We told them not to do it, but that's pretty significant savings. We came back to them after a few months. They thought they were happy. They were saving money on their website. After a few months, we came back to them and said, hey, your traffic has dropped by 80% compared to what it used to be. And here's why. And so basically, they didn't believe that that threat or that danger was there until they experienced it. And at that point, they were months behind where they were before. We had to go in and basically they had to get a new website and we had to go in and do optimization on their new site. It was a major disruption in business for them.
Oh, that's really terrible, and especially because of course not the small business owners take decisions or actions um hoping the worst thing. So I probably can imagine that they have a good intention, but just because they don't hear you or hear a good advice, it was like something really messed up.
So this is going years ago. We had an SEO client, and everything was going very well for them. They were happy, and the same similar situation had where they had a vendor come in and said, "Hey, we can do link building for you for a very low cost, much lower than what Pete Kleinjohn and Tiger 29 can do." And so the business fired us and went to this other SEO company that was promising these great links. And one day, the business owner calls me out of the blue, and he says, "Hey, I got this weird email from Google that says I have a manual penalty on my website." And he was confused and a little bit anxious about what that meant. And I said, hey, this is a really bad situation. Basically, what's happened here is Google has de indexed your website because of the SEO practices that this other agency was doing. And so, what we had to do, and it took a couple months, is we had to create a disallow file and submit that to Google and say, hey, we're very sorry. A different SEO company did this work. We would like you to disregard this information. And so it took a while. It took about 8 to 12 months maybe before their traffic came back from that de-indexation, which again was a major disruption for the business. The business owner was stressed out for basically a year because of this. And at the end of the day, we were able to fix it, and he got that relief. But man, what a simple thing that could have been avoided for him.
Oh my god, yeah, like sometimes people just because they want to save some money or save some time make everything worse, and that's why I always tell it's sometimes the cheapest things will be expensive in the future. So but I just want that you add one more story, and it's related to a checkbox or something like that, that one of your clients experienced one time, that she have her website and all of that built, but the website just don't appear in Google. So what was that?
So one of the scariest things as a business owner is when you invest money into something like a website and you get no results whatsoever from that investment. In fact, you go to Google and Google your company name and it doesn't even show up anywhere, not even on page 8, 9, 10. Your website is basically invisible. So we had an SEO power hour one time with a small business owner who was frustrated, and she had been spent working on this problem for a long time, more than 12 months, trying to get her website to show up on Google. And basically, we got on. It was a Wix website. We were able to go into the back end and point to the checkbox that says don't let search engines see my website. We unchecked that box, and she literally, like, she was almost in tears on this phone call because she had been dealing with this problem for so long, had been so frustrated and anxious, and something that seemed like it should be so simple that she couldn't figure out. It took a 1 hour phone call. We were able to do that and a lot more for her. And so those SEO power hours can be really powerful.
Well, thank you, Pete, to share all of these horror stories to all the small business owners that are looking this video. I hope that all of you can learn a little bit to all of these mistakes that previous small business commit. Of course, wishing best results or something, but sometimes the good intentions are not enough. Sometimes you need also knowledge of what are you doing. So, do you want to add something, Pete?
You want real SEO and real results, and that's what we try to do in the SEO Power Hour. We'd love to have one of those with you if you're a small business owner. We feel like we can really help and maybe even avoid some of those SEO scary stories that are out there. And especially if you have something like that that's like nagging you, of like, I wonder why this is the way that it is. Like, we can explain that on an SEO Power Hour and make sure that you have a path forward for actually fixing the problem or realizing the opportunity.
So, well, yeah, small business owners, if you experience any of these horror stories or you having a completely different horror story happening right now, just book the SEO Power Hour or leave us a comment. We're happy to read you or hear your problems too. Again, please go and follow Pete in all the socials. And also for YouTube, and don't forget to activate the notifications so you can know when he is posting new content. So yeah, thank you for watch all of these videos. Bye.
Bye.